Good evening everyone, how are we doing tonight? I'm just going to give it a few moments just to let Facebook actually notify people that I've gone live. It can take a little while, so let's just let people know that I'm here and then we'll be free to go live. So if you're here, just give me a little thumbs up, let me know you've arrived, and we'll go live. So thank you very much. My name is Nicola and I'm a coach with Enkindle, which means to illuminate, and I have a particular interest in helping people really feel happy in their own skin, and so I run something called the Happy to Be Me Hub, which is a closed Facebook group which really allows people to come in and find who they really are and really find a place where they can be really resonant from their real selves and live their life on purpose from there. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Yvonne for letting me come into the group tonight and talk to you. And what I'm going to talk to you tonight is about something called managing the mind chatter, and it's really an opportunity to share with you some tips and techniques for really dealing with those little voices of self-doubt that we hear, and we're all very guilty of hearing those, and to take you through that, and also to have a think about how can we encourage our children to become more aware of that self-doubt, and how can we really channel them to look at different ways of dealing with that so that they can become confident little individuals that can grow and be the best that they want to be from a really authentic place as well. So thank you to those of you that are joining me tonight. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Do engage. Hi Yvonne, lovely to see you. That's great. So we know the comments is working, which is always a bonus for Facebook Live. So please do engage, or if you're watching the replay as well, which we'll post afterwards, again, please feel free to add comments and I can check back in later and respond to those as well. So managing the mind chatter, what does that mean to you? So take a moment now to just really think about what does that mean. And for me, it's about seeing how we can mute or even reduce the volume of that inner voice that talks to us. For example, you go to bed at night and you turn off the lights, you just settle down, and then bam, those voices appear and they tell you, and they have those particular phrases that really get to you. They really pull on the heartstrings. I know the one for me is, I'm not enough, you're not good enough. And it's really about learning how we can deal with those, how we can process those so that they don't overtake our life, they don't become louder than our own voice. So have a moment now and think about what phrase is it that you say regularly, that you hear in your head, that is more of a negative language that you would actually like to mute or banish for yourself. It could be, I'm not enough. It could be, I could never achieve ... It's me against the world. I'll never be able to do this. I'll never be able to do that. And take a moment for yourself, and if you're feeling brave, please do share in the comments, because you'd be surprised how many others will have those same phrases as well. And another example would be, perhaps you're going out for a walk with the children, and you get home and realise you don't even really remember hearing your children laugh while you're out. You don't even really remember the surroundings that you're in, because your head was so consumed with what's going on, or it was so consumed with the negativity or the language that you were hearing, that you were unable to really connect with the present. And so what's really important is that we are able to identify that internal monologue, and we're able to interrupt it. And that's what makes the difference. If we choose to stay with it, then we choose to believe in it. We start to think that it is actually the truth that we're hearing. And so it's really important to stop that short and ask ourselves what's really going on. So did you know that doubt, emptiness, irritation, sluggishness and restlessness are the 5 most common themes of a negative mindset? As you hear those, which ones can you relate to? So it was doubt, emptiness, irritation, sluggishness and restlessness. So have a think about which one is it that contributes to your negative mindset. Which one is it that you feel you can connect with as we speak here tonight? So let me share with you, it's really important to remember that those inner critics that you hear, or those inner gremlins as I call them, is not the real strong, capable you. It's just a perspective. It's just something that you hear to challenge you. And sometimes those negative voices we hear are there to really challenge us, to help us get out of our comfort zone, to help us really push ourselves forward with what we want. But sometimes it can become a repetitive behaviour, and it can then become really difficult to deal with. So it's about learning how we can notice it. So think about it in a sense of it's just a perspective. And sometimes actually naming your inner critic that you hear, or giving them even a persona, imagining what they would look like or what they sound like, can be really helpful to just to really give it a character in a sense, so that then when it does appear, you're able to literally visualise it then going away. So have a think about it. How does it appear for you? For me, it's a tiny little whiny voice on my shoulder, but perhaps there's a particular sound that you hear, or perhaps your body language changes, and at that point you feel that that voice appears. So it's about learning to notice and respond to it. We need to move on though, because if we don't and we stay with it, as I said, it then starts to manifest, it then starts to become what we think is real. So the best question that you can ask yourself when you hear those inner critics and you hear those phrases coming up is, what's the truth here? What's really going on? Because sometimes we bring in those inner critics based on behaviours that we've had in the past, experiences that we've had in the past, rather than the current situation we're in. And that's where mindfulness can really play a key role, in that we need to get back to the present moment. So it's about that awareness of noticing when those phrases come up, and when we're speaking from a gremlin point of view rather than our stronger, capable selves, and thinking about how can we just acknowledge that and then move on. Sometimes it does hold us back, and I encourage you to think about, what is your self-preservation strategy? Where do you tell yourself you can't do something? Because if you do that, it's almost a safety mechanism, in the sense of, you know, if you said, oh, I'm not going to achieve X, Y or Z, then you're not going to do it because your mindset isn't in the right place, and you're not going to be able to go out there and do it because you've already told yourself no. But if you've told yourself no, then if you did try to go out there and do it and you didn't achieve it, it doesn't matter, because you've already set it up in your head that you're not going to do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. You don't feel any strong commitment to it, you don't feel any value to it. So think about, where is your self-sabotaging strategy? Where could you stretch out of your comfort zone and go out there and really achieve something? What is really available to you right now? Where are you standing in your own way? So the other thing I want to mention is that thoughts aren't facts. Really discover what the truth is. It's time to shrink that critic. It's time to banish it. It's time to get rid of it, and really grow in confidence and know that you are completely capable of anything that you want to do. And that could be to do with your lifestyle, your family, your career. If you run a business, something around that. It could be anything that you want. Perhaps you're training for a fitness goal or something, so it's or a craft thing you're doing, maybe even decorating the house. But whatever it is, you need to throw yourself all in there with a positive mindset to be able to get there. So take a moment now and just imagine, what would it feel like to be in control? What would it be like to literally drop the shoulders and feel that sense of freedom? Just notice how your body language might change, even if you just start to visualize that. What would it be like to have a sense of direction to move forward? To be able to look up and around you rather than down slightly because you don't feel you can achieve it, or so far forward that you're not even thinking about the present moment because you're too busy thinking about the future. Because this is an opportunity for you to get unstuck and to really make decisions. You're watching this live because you're curious. You want to know what's going on. You want to know how you can change that mindset. So do comment. If you're watching the playback or you're watching now, do comment. What is this bubbling up for you? How are you feeling? perhaps some of the inner critics are there. Maybe I'm talking to some inner critic audience as well, going, well, I've always been like that way, I can't change that. Well, actually, now is an opportunity for you to inhale confidence and exhale self-doubt. It's around trying some positive affirmations that allow you to really take charge of that mindset and take charge of who you are. Because are you happy right now being who you are if you're with these critics? Are you happy with the fact that they live rent-free in your head when you don't really want them there? So just imagine that for a moment. What would it be like to move forward? What are you in control of? What can you really take from today and move forward, as today is the first day for you to try that? So that's so true, Yvonne. Affirmations are so powerful. So what would your affirmation be for today? Is it, I am brave? I am courageous? My favourite one, I am enough, or I am happy to be me. At the moment we're doing a 40-day affirmation challenge in my Happy Hub, and we're on day 21 today, and so we're just starting to see that habit form, because it takes 21 days to form a habit. And it's incredibly powerful, not just to find an affirmation, but to say it out loud every day and to write it down. So I encourage you now, if you're watching this now or you're watching the playback later, write down your affirmation, write it in this comments box, really commit to it, really put it out there in the universe, and say what it is that you want to be with today. Because that's the first start to changing your mindset. And it may well be that when you hear that inner critic voice, you are going to respond and mute it by saying your affirmation. And the thing is, when we're very tired and emotional or exhausted, it's very easy for us to sit in that negative state. It's very easy for us to then make decisions from a different point of view that we regret later, or to make some quite rash decisions. And it's all about how we regulate the brain. And I wanted to very quickly explain what that means. So you may have heard of the hand model of the brain, which is described by Dan Siegel, which I'm going to show you now. So with my hand, if you imagine that my wrist is the spinal cord, and just above that is the skull, and what we call the reptile brain. So this is the life support system of our brain. So if we had a brain injury, perhaps through a car accident or a stroke, it's this part of the system which kicks in the life support, where we are still able to breathe, it's still able to pump our heart around our body, and pump the blood from our heart around the body. That would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? And so what's next in the brain is, if we bring the thumb across here, this is what we call the mammalian part of the brain, and this is the limbic system and the emotional brain, and this is where we regulate emotions, or where when they're exposed and it's not regulated, we can have that fight or flight mode, or that what we call freeze or shutdown mode. And so what we have is the next part of our brain, which is called the cerebral cortex, and it's called the thinking cap of the brain. So if I literally put it over here, you can see that it caps that limbic area. And so this is the bit where we have our cognitive thoughts, our behaviours, our reasoning, our consciousness as well. And in the front section here is the prefrontal cortex, and this is right behind the eye, so right in front of the forehead, which regulates this limbic part and the spinal cord as well. And right behind the middle finger is where we have mindfulness as well, so right behind here. And so this is where we encourage people to think about using mindfulness as a technique for regulation and to bringing ourselves back for the present. But when we are tired and emotional, we have sometimes hear that phrase where we flip our lid, we literally expose that emotional area. So this is why then when we flip our lid, it becomes exposed. We're unable to make rash decisions. We can get upset, we can get angry, we can get frustrated. And so what we need to do is learn how we can bring that cerebral cortex back down again, so that we can become much more regulated and balanced, and able to make rational decisions, that moral reasoning, that connection. And so what I wanted to share with you now was just a few tips of how we can do that, because that alone will also help regulate that mind chatter as we choose to look at it from a different perspective, which is much more tuned in. So a few little tips then for dealing with mindfulness for yourself and for children. And the first one is what I call the rainbow one. And this is around just noticing. So if you notice that your children are perhaps going into that mode where they're starting to feel frustrated, or they're just not able to settle, or they're feeling really anxious about something, just allowing them to notice what's around them will allow themselves to bring that back down. It's around bringing the body back to a present moment, really. And that also allows the breathing to slow down as well, allows the heart to slow down, which obviously can improve the health and then can improve building resilience as well. So I like to do something called the rainbow walk, where we go out and we look for the different colours of the rainbow as we walk, as a way of really becoming present to the moment and not worrying about what else has been going on. Some days we can focus on just one colour, or I quite like doing all of the colours, and sometimes even taking pictures of them so that you can look at them afterwards. So it's a great way, no matter where you are. I don't know, perhaps you're in the car in a traffic jam, engine off, handbrake on, but you're stuck there for a while. Doing the rainbow from your car is a great way to just get rid of all that frustration that's going on. And the other one with this is just to clap your hands 3 times and then to look at them and just to notice what's going on. Do you have a particular tingling sensation in any of your fingers? What are you noticing? But again, it brings it back to the forefront of that mind, to that mindfulness area, and allows the cap to come back down and to regulate again. So they're just a couple of little mindfulness techniques that you can try. Gratitude is another great one, because it's really important that we celebrate life successes, and many people think that it's very indulgent to do this, but actually if I asked you now, what has gone well for you today, what's made you smile, it's an opportunity for you to be in a positive perspective. How often do we go to bed at night thinking we haven't cleared the to-do list, or we haven't done enough? And how often do we wake up first thing in the morning and then tell ourselves we've not had enough sleep? Or the first thing we reach out for is social media, and then we start comparing ourselves to others. So what would it be like to just take a moment for yourself and really appreciate you? You know, perhaps you've just cooked your favourite meal, perhaps you've just made somebody smile, perhaps you've heard your child giggle today, or you've had a really great connection with them. They are all lovely things to be grateful for. You don't need to have a superhero costume on to know that you've had a great day. So just be with that for a moment and think about, what's just made you smile. Perhaps you've seen a beautiful flower, or you've noticed the fluffy clouds against the blue sky. So just think about what works for you. And there are lots of different ways to practice gratitude. There are jars and journals and apps on your phone. One that my friend does with her children is she has what's called a wow wall. So in their kitchen they have a lovely wall with either pictures of something that they're grateful for that day, or post-it notes that the children write on and put up. So they really get a really beautiful, huge horizon of the things that they have done, which they're all grateful for. And it's a really great way of bringing the family together, perhaps at dinner time, and inviting some positive discussions to the table, really, of what's gone on, and a real opportunity for the children to appreciate themselves as well. If perhaps they've had a bad day with their behaviour, or it's been quite challenging, or that things haven't gone so well academically for them, there is still so much for them to be grateful for. And it's a really great way for the children to start respecting themselves, and to be able to appreciate who they are as an individual. No matter what life throws at them and what challenges might lie ahead, there's still always something that they can be grateful for. So it could well be that you're being grateful just that they're sat there and they're able to smile and connect with you right then. So I encourage you to go away and have a think about that. If gratitude is something you're more interested in, I'm what is called the gratitude champion. I do lots of work with gratitude. I speak to lots of groups about gratitude, and I write regularly for HuffPost and Thrive Global. So by all means, if you'd like to have a chat or some other tips for gratitude, I'd be most happy to share. Just drop me a message. So the next one is what we call the superhero meditation. So for children, again, if they're having trouble settling, or they're feeling frustrated, or they're having one of those days, get them to have a think about their superhero. So get them to think about, what would it be like for them if they were that superhero? What would their senses be doing? So it's an opportunity for them again to come back down from any anxiety that's going on for them, or any sort of hyperactivity, and allow them to think about, you know, if they were in the superhero mode of Spider-Man, what would the Spidey senses be like? What would Spider-Man be smelling? What would he be touching? What would he be hearing? And going through those sort of senses with the child, to just allow them to bring themselves back down to the moment. And it's a really great way to also really unlock some creativity, for perhaps even with yourself. So don't just have it for the children, you know, well, who is your superhero? What would you like to be like? How would you like to connect with those senses as well? And then the next one for me is around breathing. It's such an easy technique to do, in the sense of you just need to breathe. You've always got your lungs with you, so you can do it wherever you are, whether you're at work, in the car, on holiday. It's not like you leave your lungs at home. So just taking a moment to breathe can make all the difference. As I said, just slowing the breathing down can slow the heart rate down, it can bring the blood pressure down, it can help build that resilience, and it can really help out in those really challenging moments, that by breathing it allows us to just come back to that present moment and just really notice what's really going on, rather than if we flip that lid and we're starting to worry about what could be happening and how we respond to something. And then the last one for me really is what we call safe space. So this is thinking about, again, is where is the child right now, or where are you right now? Where is a safe place for you? Where is there something where you feel safe to be mindful, safe to be in that place, where you can really be strong, you can feel connected, you can again really connect with those senses and think about what you want from this place, that allows them to then be who they want to be, but with confidence and safety as well. And all of these techniques that I've shared with you is about making a conscious choice to do something, either for you or for your child. It's about doing something that makes your heart sing. It's about being really happy with who you are and not listening to that negativity of things that you've been hearing. And the same for the children. How often these days are children influenced by what's going on social media, something that's going on the TV, something that's going on at school, and so it's about inviting those children to really speak from a place of safety, of confidence, to really allow them to sort of inhale some confidence and exhale some self-doubt as well, because they matter and you matter, and it's really important that they feel really comfortable to be themselves. Without comparison really is the thief of joy. We have a sensory dart den. That's such a great idea, isn't it? It's about having somewhere for them where they feel really comfortable, and really able to just be with what they need to be with in that moment as well. So I'm hoping that tonight has been an opportunity for me to just share a few tips for you on trying some different things. What I would say is that self-compassion plays a huge part here, and that it's so easy to become consumed by our thoughts. That sometimes taking a step back, or even taking ourselves up in an imaginary hot air balloon, could give us an opportunity to look at the things that are going on through a different perspective. So be kind to yourself. You know, if you try out some of these techniques and they don't work the first time, it doesn't mean it's not going to work again. Don't let that inner critic come on board and tell you it's not enough, or it's not good enough to try it. It's about seeing what works for you. Again, comparison, thief of joy. So choose the one that works for you, or try a few out and see what happens. But it's about taking charge of what you want. It's about knowing that you are a strong, capable self who's able to do anything that they want, but do it from a place of love, do it from a place of compassion, knowing that, you know, you are really important, and it's really really important that you invest in yourself, because you matter. I think that would be one of my key messages that I want to share with you tonight, that you should really be happy in your own skin, just as your child should. And so even though those inner gremlin voices come in, it's about whether or not we choose to be with them or that we choose to move on. So thank you so much for allowing me some time tonight, Yvonne, to talk to you all. I've really enjoyed this opportunity, and I hope that you will find these techniques really useful. I will dip back in again later, so if anyone has any comments or would like to talk to me, do message me. That's no problem at all. I wish you a lovely evening. Sometimes when we sit here and we start to think tonight about our inner critics, it can bubble up loads of thoughts going on. So be kind to yourself tonight. Even maybe just spend a few moments now after watching this, just being with yourself and noticing from what perspective you're being in as you do that. And have a lovely evening. Okay, you take care of yourselves now. Bye.